Third method, which is in two parts, part 1 and 2, which we're going to do again today, is what happens if it's a trinomial or a three-termer? How do you factor into parentheses? It's two parts because specifically the last term is positive, and then in the second part, the last part is negative, and sometimes the middle is positive or negative. So I'll just show you how to do it just on doing these problems. So you're trying to factor this. Just a reminder, the first two that we did was like 3x squared plus 12x. We took out a 3 and an x, that's called a GCF, and you're going to have an x plus 4 left inside. And I can check to see if I did the distributive property backwards. 3x times x is 3x squared, and 3x times 4 is 12x. So I did it right. So on the worksheet, you also had x squared minus 9. There's a difference of two perfect squares. You put an x here, you put an x here, you put a 3 here, and you put a 3 here, because that's perfect. And don't forget your plus or minus. So that's what we did on the first worksheet. Now the second worksheet has two parts also. And notice the difference between this one, they had something in common with each other. This one has nothing in common with each other. This one here has only two terms with a minus sign. This one has three terms with nothing in common with each other. You're just going to sit and put two sets of parentheses. Well, if this is y squared, you're going to put a y here and a y here. Kind of like the x squared, you put an x here and an x here. But now you're trying to figure out, you have to list all the factors of 40. So 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. And one of those add up to 14. Which one of those two, 4 add up to 14? This one adds up to 14. And what I want you to do is I want you to check the OI. Remember I showed you the FOIL method? You don't have to check all of them. All I want you to do is check the OI part. The 4y and the 10y gives you the 14y. I don't ask you to check the first ones because y times y is y squared and 4 times 10 is 40. You just have to make sure that those two add up to 14 in the middle. So I'm going to be talking about the OI a lot in the next couple of sections. Okay, let's do it again. Factors of y squared minus 11y plus 18. Again, you're going to put two sets of parentheses. There is no greatest common factor. You're going to put a y here and a y here. Factors of 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. But notice that there's a negative sign there. You could do a negative 1, negative 18, a negative 2, negative 9, and a negative 3 and a negative 6. When you add these two together, you get 9. But when you multiply these two together, you get 18. So you need to do the factors of that give you a negative. So this gives you a negative 9, but when you multiply them together, it makes the positive 18. So this is the one that you want. You want a negative 3 and a negative, oh, I'm sorry, not a negative 3 and a negative 6. We need the negative 11. So we want this one up here. We want to make this a negative 2 and a negative 9. And let's check the OI. Negative 2y, negative 9y gives us a negative 11y. Okay, the next one, you're going to put an a here and you're going to put an a here. Factors of 34 are a positive 2 and a positive 17. 2a, 17a gives us 19a. That's it for this part, but there's a little bit more. You're going to put an x here and an x here. Again, this is positive, but this is negative. So the signs have to either be both positive or both negative. So we're trying to figure out factors of 20. We're going to do a -10 and a -2. A -10 and a -2 add up to 20, but these two add up to a -12x, so I finished it right. And keep going. An M and an M. Factors of 30 are 1 and 30, 3 and 10, 2 and 15, and 5 and 6. This one adds up to 11, 13, 31, and 17. There's not one of them that adds up to 18. I can't make this one work. If you can't make it work, remember, it is prime. And I think this is the last one, which it is. The only difference is, this is r squared, so this is going to be an r, and this is going to be an r. Notice that there's another letter attached to it, so you need an s here and an s here because of the s squared. Factors of 8 are a +4 and a +2. You're going to get 4rs here, the OI part, and the 2rs here, which gives us the 6rs. Do you see why you need an s? The reason why you need an s is because there's a squared there and a squared there, so you need letters on both of them. Okay, the next part is day 2, but this is on the same worksheet. Okay, the difference is in the second one, the C is negative. So what do you do when the C is negative? So we're gonna just start off doing this again. You need an X here and an X here. You need to come up with factors of a -20, so those signs have to be opposite of each other. See what I'm doing? I'm listing opposites because it needs to make a -20 when you multiply them together. You're trying to make a -1. Well, there it is right there. That adds up to a -1. So you need a +4 and a -5. 4x, -5x gives us a -1x. So that's the difference. In the last page, the signs were either both negative or both positive. In this one sign's positive and one sign's negative. That's the only difference. So let's do this one. I'm going to do a 30 and a 1. I'm going to make this a +30 and make that a -1. Remember, the signs need to be opposites of each other. 30a take away 1a is 29a. So that's the difference, but the same concept. This one, we know we need an x, and we know we need an x, and we know we also need a k now, because we have 2 letters in this problem. Factors of a -12 are a -6 and a +2. That'll give us a -4kx, so I did it right. The next one, M and an M. I know my signs have to be positive or negative, and I need to get 7 in the middle, so I'm going to try 1 and 15. That gives us 14, so that doesn't work, and the only factors are 3 and 5. That doesn't work either. That gives us a -2. So this is prime. It does not work. And that's all for this worksheet. You figure out the factors of this that add up to that. That's what you're doing on this worksheet.